Hello guys. It's September 25 and you're watching me, Nikki, also known as Faces Trader, and you're watching the September 25, 2020 Philippine Market Update. So let's begin the Philippines. Today we have a news and I'm sharing this screen. BSP setting a cap on credit card charges. Let's begin. It's just a 1-minute video.
Has approved a ceiling for credit card fees to ease the burden of consumers and small enterprises amid the health crisis. BSP Governor Ben Jokno says the central bank will impose a 24% annual cap for all credit card transactions beginning November 3. This means credit card issuers can only charge interest rates of up to 2% a month on unpaid credit card balances. The BSP has also set the cap for loan TPE transactions for those paid on installments at 1%. The BSP said they're confident that banks will comply with the new policies, saying they coordinated with the Bankers Association of the Philippines, which the BSP says has expressed support for the new rules. Data from the Bangko Sentral showed that the average annual rate for credit card receivables ranged from 18 to 58% in the first half of the year.
So that is the first news that is very important. BSP setting caps on credit card loan rates, which today is teetering from 18 to 58%. We will discuss that in relation to the financials. But another news, let's start with news first. Converge ICT's IPO gets a regulatory approval. So Converge is an internet provider. It is going to raise up to 41.55 billion pesos and has received the go signal from the Securities Exchange Commission, the SEC. This application will list its main board. So the shares will be listed on the main board, planning to offer up to 1.73 billion shares, composed of 480 million shares for the primary offering, 1 billion shares for the secondary offering, and another 225 million shares as an over-allotment option. This is a 41.55 billion pesos. It is a very big IPO. Now, Converge ICT may offer the shares up to 24 peso each, which will raise above 11 billion pesos from the primary offering, and another and 41 billion only if the over-allotment option is exercised. This will be the second to do a public listing this year. The company will use 90% of the proceeds of that 40 billion to support its capex. Okay. Oops, sorry. Let me share my screen. Let me share my screen now. Pardon. Okay. Okay. So as you know, the Philippine market has an IPO upcoming. It is Converge ICT. They got a regulatory approval, and as you know, this company is an internet provider. This will be the second company in the Philippine market to do a public listing, and it will support the capex for its expansion nationwide, as Converge currently just operates only in Luzon. So 90% of that 40 billion will be used to support the other Visayas and Mindanao nationwide. Morgan Stanley and UBS are tapped as joint global coordinators and the joint book runners in this offering. Credit Suisse Singapore and Merrill Lynch will be the international joint book runners. For the local investors, the BPI Capital Corp has been the sole local coordinator, with BDO Capital as the joint underwriter and book runner. So local participating underwriters are also AUB, First Metro, Maybank, ATR, PNB, and RCBC. This means that you could avail of these IPOs if you are a client of these companies as well. And so, and of course, you can undergo the EC investment program that you can buy from the local stock exchange. So you can just go to the Philippine Stock Easy investment program for you to invest on these IPOs. The planned offering date is gonna be, well, it hasn't written here the date. However, this is the Dennis Uy of Pampanga. He had received 10 billion pesos or $225 million private equity funding from Warburg Pincus last year. So this is a good news for the Filipinos out there who wants an internet provider, a better internet provider. Currently, we are serviced by Globe and PLDT in our homes. Now, another news, PAGCOR has reported revenues are down 50% as POGO revenues have been reduced operations this year. So POGOs in this year have been down as well. So the government has only received around 600 million monthly peso pre-COVID. It's now just down to 50% or 300 million pesos. This would have been lower if not for the minimum guaranteed fees, which allowed PAGCOR to impose higher regulatory fees rather than 2% of POGO's gross gaming revenues, following whichever is higher formula. TRIA said that the reduced collection of regulatory fees has been seen since only 32 out of the 60 POGOs were allowed to resume operations, although at limited 30% capacity. Meanwhile, 111 of the 218 accredited POGO service providers are now allowed to operate after securing clearances from the BIR. The POGO industry was allowed to partially resume operations to prevent the spread of COVID-19 only during May. Now, provided they settle their unpaid taxes. Harry Roque, the presidential spokesperson, said that several POGO firms have failed to settle their tax dues, which was a requirement before they can resume operations. Carlos Dominguez, the finance secretary, also told senators that he got information that building owners in Makati City, where offshore gaming operators have started canceling their lease contracts. So they have said that licenses of 5 POGOs were already canceled, and then another 5 were suspended, and 42 more service providers are canceling their accreditation, citing quarantine and tax rules, which puts greater pressure on the sector. So Dominguez has said while direct tax revenues from POGOs aren't much, the exit of these foreign workers will impact real estate prices and property developers and other businesses that benefit from the POGO industry, which will see much lower revenues going forward, meaning lower tax collections for the Philippine government. Lee Chu said that POGOs would account 13% of office space demand from January to May, even with quarantine. So before COVID, POGOs occupied as much as 1.7 million square meters of office space nationwide and 2 million square meters of residential space. So we'll explain all of these news happenings with the market. So Philippine index now is down to about 5,838. You've got a lot of winners, but also a lot of losers as well. So let's take a look each one of them. We have more losers. You've got more advancers today. Market value is still small at 3.35 billion. So it's just less than $60 million. Your advancers 110, your decliners are 86. You've got Foreignet selling at about 627 million pesos. Your gainers today are Metro Bank, 3% up, Bloomberry, 3% up, GT Cap, 1% up, MPI, 1% up, Ayala Land, 1% up. Your losers are Pure Gold, URC, First Gen, DMC. So we are going to take a look at each of these stats later. Okay, so as the stats, take a look at our biggest gainer for the day with volume would be, Axilum continues higher, 2.67. Your MA continued higher, 217. That has about 10 million, 6 million pesos in volume. Your Apex rallied today, 3% up. Apex Mining, 140. 12 million pesos. Your Metro Bank, 234 million pesos at about 37.6. And then you've got this DNL trading at 5.7. DNL is giving dividends by the end of the quarter, by the end of this month. They have an ex-date end of this month. Now for Bloomberry, it's up 708. So you have some winners, Metro Bank being the primary winner for today. Now, worst losers, let's take a look. Worst losers, you've got Now Corp continuing to still fall after hitting 430. It's now 2.93 after 3 days of sell-off, 67 million pesos. It was denied with their fourth telco, according to the DICT. Now, another news, of course, Pure Gold can't break above 50 from 49.45. It is back to 48.1. 40 million pesos value traded. Mary Mart also falling down now about 305, 313 to 305, 89 million pesos. You are seeing some sellers further. And then let's take a look at how the URC is down 2 pesos, 133 pesos today. So Marimart, okay, the biggest traded of the day, top traded, let's take a look. Your biggest trades for the day is Metro Bank. You have it 230 million pesos. Your Dito Telecom continues higher, 410 to 420, 100 million pesos. Your Now Corp is 293. Your BDO 87 has some buyers. Your Ayala Land at 30 pesos has some buyers as well, 1% up. ASEN unchanged, but it's still good volume, 3.14. BPI 134 million, 63.5. Your Jollibee is 138. Your PLDT is 1356. Mega World is 293. You've got a lot of losers as well in the Philippines. So Pure Gold and URC are down 1.4 and 2.73%. URC is now trading at 133 and Pure Gold is now trading at 48. Your Manila Water couldn't break the 15 peso mark. After hitting 15 today, it's back to 14.88, some profit taking. Most active, let's see. Your most active on the day, okay, your Ayala Land, your Metro Bank. So I guess the market today, even despite all those bad news, actually it's not too bad. The news isn't too bad. It just tells you that the POGO is just like all the rest of us. The market has truly understood that the property segment relied on the POGO. So even before, when the POGO revenues was already falling down, your Philinvest land has fallen from about 2 pesos and has gone down 50%. So ever since the news last year, January, from about July 2019, I think, there was already news this July 2019 that there was some POGOs that were, there was news already about POGOs. And then as you could see from 210, Philinvest land, which does serve a lot of these POGOs, have already fallen to 80 cents. So at 80 cents and 90 cents, even despite that news on PAGCOR, the companies, the property segment didn't fall anymore. So as you know, we could say that the Philippine properties have already priced in the POGO sell-off. Let's take a look. That was Fly. You could see the same thing for some POGO-related companies, Ayala Land, so Mega World. So these were falling since July, 54, now it's 30, so almost half. But it's not just about the POGO, but of course the pandemic as well. But you could see that Fly, Mega World were falling down ever since July 2019. So July 2019 was the peak, 6 peso 50 cents. Now it's 50% lower at 3 pesos 293. So I'd say that the POGO-related news has been well-known, well-telegraphed ever since last year. COVID pandemic, also well-telegraphed. So the property segment are just neutral so far. Now, when it comes to the casinos, we could say that Bloomberry has already been priced in to lose money for the next foreseeable months. And therefore, the PAGCOR news was nothing new. And the resumption of operations of POGO has been known since May. That's why since May, we've seen Bloomberry go from 540 all the way to 850, and then from 6 peso, another 7. So we might see even Bloomberry resume 8 or 9 in the next coming months. So Bloomberry is reopening play. We are seeing that casinos, despite the general difficulty of COVID pandemic, is being seen as a recovery play. Now, with the BSP mandating that all the banks have a ceiling when it comes to credit cards, it's notable to see that Metro Bank today rallied from where we saw a quadruple bottom at about 33, now it's 37.6. Do note that we think that there will be resistances here at 40 and 42, given that Metro Bank will still have some pain within the next 6 months and 12 months, just like all financials out there. Metro Bank, you have resistance at 40, 42. Let's take a look at each of the banks. BDO here at 87, still at quadruple bottom, 87, 85. Those who want to get in some Metro Bank at 37 should also notice that BDO at 87 is a compelling buy. Let's take a look as well at the others. Okay, GT Cap, which owns Metro Bank, is still here at about 395 or 380 something. So as long as it's below 400, it looks like you have a ability to see it not fully recover, but at the very least have some bounces. So we've seen that GT Cap has habitually bounced from about 400 to as high as 480 in the next 6 months or next 3 months. So this might be something that should attract people who are interested with Metro Bank to also take a look at Metro Bank's conglomerate founder, which is GT Capital. Now, there are other companies that had rallied. Ayala Land is up 1%. We can see that Ayala Land, after hitting as low as 26, rallied to 32. This seems to be a secondary support at 30 pesos. And now we are seeing that it is trying to teeter that 29.50 to 30 peso mark. If Ayala Land can stay afloat this 30 peso mark, it's good to see that it can go 32 or 34. Of course, if Ayala Land goes up, we could see the same thing happen for Ayala Corporation. Ayala Corporation is now trading at 692. We have seen that Ayala Corp had rallied to as high as 800. It could go down to 680 or 640, but we would notice that any drops of Ayala Corp, 690 to 640, could be a potential buying opportunity for some selling pressure at about 760 to 800. Now, we notice that ASEN continues to stay strong. So ASEN is 314, still a strong mover. Now, Apex Mining, it's good to see that it recovered from about 135 to 140. So we are seeing that some people are willing to buy the dip on gold, as gold prices here are still expected to go higher in the next foreseeable 6 to 12 months. So let's take a look at XAU USD as well. Did the market pick up gold when it fell? The answer is yes. As you could see, gold also picked up 1850, now it's 1870. Some people believe that 1850 is a good discount after rallying to $2,050. Now, it's the same thing happening with Bitcoin dollar as well, digital gold. We can see that people picked up Bitcoin here at about $10,000, 10.1. It's now trading at 10.6. So Apex, Bitcoin, and gold all are moving in the same manner. Maybe Felix also rallied up 380 to 390. Then again, between these miners, you could see that Felix Mining has rallied further. You still got that selling pressure at 429 and 420. It may even fall to 340. So maybe this rally on Felix Mining at 420 is a chance to sell and not yet a chance to buy. Let's take a look at your banks. Of course, your BPI also. So let's take a look at each one of them. Your financials are getting a cap of about 24%. So BPI at 63, it could go down to 60, but it's still a higher low. Security Bank and East West, let's take a look at all of them. So Security Bank still at 90, 91, still resistance at 100. Take a look at East West, which is also credit card loans. So credit card loans, 820, it's steady at 8 pesos. Good to see that it hasn't been going down to 7 pesos anymore. So we are seeing that East West still has pressure here at about 10 pesos and a lot of selling pressure here at about 950. So we want to see East West climb up. Now, PNB, after a blistering movement in the last week, it's now just steady. So it hasn't gone up, it hasn't gone down. It's just steady, consolidating here at 23. So if this breaks above 25, that's when we could see that momentum can go further. But as you well know, it's just sleeping so far. SSI tried to recover. As you know, it's rallied back to 114 and now it's trading at 117 after falling to even as low as 105. That was a very deep reset from as low as 1 peso to as high as 130, a very deep reset at 105. So any rallies back to 128 to 130 should be seen as a resistance rather than a buying opportunity. Okay, so let me now check your comments and let's see your comments and questions. What do you think of Jollibee affiliate Hyperdynamic acquiring shares? Is this a positive sign? So I think that Jollibee right now is trading at 138. I do think that Jollibee is being primed up for the recovery play. Just as we saw all the restaurants in the world, worldwide have a recovery play. So it's possible that Jollibee is being scooped up for those long-term investors. So that is a good thing for those who are shareholders of Jollibee, that the company is also acquiring shares from the market. That is a good thing. I'd say that Jollibee can even trade as high as 149 or 145 in the next coming days. It just tells you that Jollibee is willing to buy higher, not wait at 125. They're willing to buy as high as 138. So maybe they believe that the company is deserving to hit 180 in the next 6 months. Now, that will also be a good thing if Jollibee believes in a recovery play. They are doing that for themselves. AGI, which owns your McDonald's, of course, is also a recovery play. Although McDonald's is a very little amount in AGI, AGI is a very big amount on Emperador. and quite huge on Mega World. But Mega World is a property, so as all properties are, it is still at the neutral stage. It's good to see, though, that despite the POGO news, that all these properties didn't go down anymore. You are seeing that Axelum has share buyback transactions. So sometimes, even when a company reports losses, if the company believes that the company has sufficient resources to buy their shares while it's cheap, they are buying the company from about 180. That's now, it could rally to about 3 peso. But as you know, these have been driven by share buybacks more than earnings. So Axelum, AGI, these have been driven more by share buyback. So if these share buybacks continue, then it could help the company share price in the future as well. Now, I think Converge is too heavy. Will you buy its IPO? Well, I think Converge did an IPO to raise money. 40 billion pesos is not small if you think about the capex that PLDT and Globe spends in a year. So PLDT and Globe spends roughly at about 30 to 20 billion pesos yearly. You could actually check it online. So it's not something that I feel is heavy. It is necessary if you are doing something of an ambitious scale to do a nationwide development. So I don't think it is heavy. In fact, I think that capex is normal when you are trying to serve internet and give Filipinos some better internet. I think the ICT Converge is important in terms of secular trends. If you think about it, in the next 5 to 10 years, more Filipinos need faster internet, better internet connectivity. And if Converge is the better one, then cash flows wise, it should be able to support that. Will you buy its IPO? It depends on the valuation. If it's gonna be valued at 100 billion pesos, um, it depends on the prospectus. I need to see the prospectus, but internet connection, I believe, is an important thing in the Philippines. So I wouldn't care about the Converge being too heavy. I think what most Filipinos are wrong about is that they only think about having a ceiling. That said, yes, I would agree that these companies would not be similar to Mary Mart, which went ceiling despite no clear revenues to speak of, or the revenues are too small. So I would say that Converge will have more investors in terms of institutions, and we'll see how it goes. How about Nickel Asia and Ferronickel? And nickel, I think right now is trading at 3 pesos. Nickel would still have buyers if it goes down, but I think right now it's just steadily equilibrium. The bullish forces on Nickel Asia remains in play. Of course, right now you have to understand that nickel is a proponent, a primary, well, it's not really a primary component. The primary component of all electric vehicle batteries are lithium. Nickel is 10%. It's an 811. 80% should be lithium. Nickel is 10%. Cobalt is 10%. Now, Tesla actually in battery days said that they might need less of lithium and they might need less of nickel and cobalt. They want to do that so that they can lessen the cost of the batteries. To be honest, when I look at Tesla Battery Day, they promised that they would buy lithium miners. They would try to less depend on current suppliers. That sent the share prices of major lithium miners around the world down 20%. So, of course, if electric vehicles in the future, specifically storage batteries, would depend less on miners, it's actually negative to your miners in the future. So if Nickel Asia and ferronickel will not be a primary component in the next 7 to 10 years, that is a 7 to 10 year secular trend problem fundamentally. That said, that is a 7 to 10 year thing. That is not a 7 to 10 month thing. Hi, ma'am. Are there any latest news about the project of Macro Asia? Macro Asia and Sangli Airport. So I think Lucio Tan got an extension. That extension is 2 weeks. So far, I don't see any news yet on that Sangli Airport. But Macro Asia and China Consortium, CCCC, are doing that. So far, Macro Asia is in a wait and see mode. Should that be approved, the Sangli Airport is a go, I guess Macro Asia will continually rise to as high as 550. Of course, that is also positive news for the airline because that is a airport. They're doing a Sangli Airport. Now, what do you think about IMI with Vias listing later? I'm happy that AC Industrials wants to list abroad. Nonetheless, I don't think that IMI Industrials can compete with many semiconductors abroad. When it comes to industrials, I would believe further on NVIDIA. So because we're talking about a global scale, IMI is competing in a lot of other companies, and I think that they might not be the best in terms of that space. So that's just me. That's just my personal judgment. I could be wrong, but in a way, it is gonna help IMI gather liquidity abroad. So IMI rallied from about 4 to as high as 6, I think, based on that news. It went even as high as 7. Right now, it's consolidating. Some people believe that liquidity abroad could help IMI, AC Industrials. But when you think about it, liquidity is helpful indeed. But at the end of the day, the question is, can IMI compete with other industrial semiconductors out there? I think IMI is competing on auto industrials, and they have quite a lot of competition in the realm of NVIDIA. And between them, I choose NVIDIA. So yun, that's it. Okay, thank you very much for listening to the channel. Do subscribe, do share this to your friends. Awesome 10X, the daily market update. I want to share as well that every Friday, today is Friday, we've got a free Friday class, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. It's always free Friday class. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just watch it on replay if you can't come on 5:30 p.m. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.